We have to continue to do that. It's horrible to think about, but we have to be the ones and bring it to people's forefront. But Lewis has become a great friend, mentor / partner as we're doing all this crazy stuff, running around the country, trying to, yelling like Paul Revere, communism's coming, or Marxism's coming, or New World Control's coming, illegal immigration is coming. We need everybody, all hands on deck. So, Lewis Herms.
Thank you. Wow, what a journey, let me tell you. What's the song go? We're halfway there.
Halfway, 25 today.
And we are living on a prayer, that's for sure. So it's interesting how we're called to do certain things in life, right? And for sure, I would second guess those or reanalyze those back in the past and try to convert it into the way I wanted it to go or how I wanted it to think. I always say that I'm the guy that can put a square peg into a round hole. The challenge is the outcome may be what is perceived as a win, but the journey is completely lost and the spirit is lost when I've done that in the past. So people would say, "Oh, you're such a winner," but now I look back and I say, was that really winning when I kind of rerouted the river instead of letting the river flow? You know what I mean? So I guess it got to the destination, but it got there my way. Right? So the difference is now I've learned over the last few years is when you get that voice in your head, you just go. So people say, "Oh, wow, how can you do so many things? How can you accomplish so much?" And I said, I'm not. That's God doing everything. I'm just kind of following and doing the best I possibly can in this journey. And why that's important to me, and I am hoping to you as well, and people that are watching online, is if we really figure out that God's got this, and we pay attention to that first voice in our head and trust it, I believe this would be over immediately. The challenge is we're so, and we do this in the truther, patriot / influencer movement, whatever you want to call it. We tend to look at all the evil constantly and give them, I think, too much energy. It's, and that's why if anybody has watched the movie that Bruce referred to, Cages, I made sure that it exposes the deep and the dark the way they think from their perspective, so we have an understanding of the way they think. But at the same time, I made sure there was a lot of positive energy and healing inside the film at the same time, because my goal was I don't want to break anybody. You don't need to be broken to learn. You don't need to be broken to get motivated to do something. And the biggest challenge I see right now is the separation of messages. So it's interesting, and I don't know if it was Andrew or Bruce, they mentioned the fact that Democrats are in lockstep, and they really are, right? They really are. I'm not looking for patriot or freedom fighters to be in lockstep, except maybe this is the genesis to this, maybe on these four pillars, right? Can we all agree that we got to get rid of New World Control, illegal immigration? I think that's pretty basic, that we can agree that all of us can get behind that. So what happens, though, is I see two completely divergent messages in this patriot community. And one is it's all doom and gloom, right? There's nothing we can do. We've pretty much lost. Let's just live out our days until the end and just accept the demise that's in front of us. We've all heard that, right? That's kind of the fear porn messaging that we've heard. I believe that would be the goal of the deep state, satanic, New World Control. That's their goal. But why would we want to give them that, especially if God's in control? So, and the other one is it's pure hopium, that you have the white hats are controlling everything. There's nothing to worry about daily. Just, you've got this. Just sit back, put your froggy mask on, eat your popcorn, and enjoy the show, right? Those are the two messages. Is it possible that we are in a war? And is it possible that that's a spiritual war? Is it possible that both sides could be running psyops? Is it possible that both sides running psyops can both affect us emotionally, and it's really, really hard for us? Is that possible? So can two things be true at one time? Can there be an evil deep state that's doing everything they can? And can there be a white hat effort in the background working at the same time? I suggest that both can be true at the same time. The challenge is if you buy into either one singularly and not believe that both can be true at the same time, you sit on your ass. And that's the challenge. That's the biggest challenge in my mind. And I like to say at the end of the day, is the impression in your couch going to be bigger than the impression you leave on the world? That's your choice, right? So how do we not sit on our ass? I think the first thing we need to realize is there's two things that can be possible at the same time. First thing we can realize is if there is a white hat operation in the background, I would suggest to you there are. I've gotten reports, direct report, that the Navy SEALs have been saving children. That's awesome, right? Nobody can convince me that Kamala Harris is the same person. Gavin Newsom's definitely not the same person. And I can tell you that Justin Trudeau is not the original. So if all that's happening and we see the ineptness of the Democratic Party, and we're seeing live the destruction of the Democratic Party, right? Knowing is the key. Knowing is the key. So if we know it, wouldn't that be more motivating to get to work? If you know that's what's going on, shouldn't we be fighting with our brothers in the background instead of waiting for them to save us? And if they did save us, everybody I think could possibly agree here, 3-4 years, we'd be right back in the same boat that we are because we were not invested in the outcome. So how do we get invested in the outcome? The biggest thing that Bruce and I heard when we've done the truth tours over and over is the same message. Okay, we get it, Lewis. We want to get to work. What do we do? How can we help? What can we do? And so what we've done is we're going to give some suggestions. We built a website called freedominaction.net. The website is up currently. These links are not clickable yet because we're actually putting information in there and we're asking for help from we the people. If they can do it better than us, let us know. We're going to put it up there. So now that we realize that there's a knowing and there's two things that could be possible at the same time, now we need to realize the next most important thing. God has given us all the power. So if we hold the power, why do we, and we've done this for centuries, why do we give the power to the politicians? Why do we give all the power to law enforcement? Why in the hell would you give the power to the schools and the school boards? Are they doing anything for your children that's positive? Why do we give the power to agricultural to go ahead and poison our food? Or health organizations to poison our body? Or large corporations to enforce mask mandates that are unconstitutional? Why would we do that? Why would we give any power to the three-letter agencies when they've been proven to work against us, not for us? Why do we give power to cities, counties, states, and federal governments? We need to know that every entity that you pay for or it's funded with taxpayer money, they work for us. Until we understand that they absolutely work for us and we're willing to stand up in their face and say, no, you work for us, we lost. We lost. Because this is a grand illusion that we're dealing with. It's the illusion of the power that they hold. Very similar to anybody in middle school, sometimes high school. Have you ever heard of bullies? Right? Have you ever seen bullies? Right? They have an illusion of power. Why is that? Because before anybody can hurt their feelings or them physically, they've already attacked you physically or emotionally. Why do they do that? Because they're insecure, because they have some emotional challenges, because they lack confidence and they have to display it in a way that's false, not authentic. It's the exact same thing that the deep state cabal does to us. It's identical. So how do we combat that, right? I would suggest you punch a bully in the nose and watch the reaction. You'd be surprised. You'd be really surprised. Same thing here. So we need to stand up and understand that we've got this and we do have this. So people say, okay, Lewis, I get it now. What can I do? Everybody can make a difference. So our platform is going to show people how to write letters. Writing letters are very, very effective. How to effectively and peacefully protest. We've been convinced by many people that protesting is just going to get you put in jail, right? That's the big psyop that came out of January 6th. It's not true. It's even there, it's not really true, because if you think of it, out of 2 million people there, less than 2,000 actually went to jail. That's 1/10 of 1%, right? So that's not even true. But we can be convinced that if you protest in your local communities and stand up, you're going to jail. Not going to happen. We actually have something in every other city in the United States except DC that they don't have, and that's called due process. It's not fun. Are there cabal judges? Yes. Are there corrupt systems? 100% they are. The difference, though, is generally, if you protest outside of DC, you don't get held up for 18 months and they just say, oh, we don't have time for your trial yet. You know that's what they're doing to the J6ers? They're not even having an opportunity to be heard. That doesn't happen in any other state or city. Every once in a while they'll try it, but then generally somebody steps in and that gets overturned, right? So that's been the big psyop out of that. You need to learn how to document corruption. We're going to teach you how to do that. How do you boycott corruption? Another psyop is patriots or conservatives. You can't boycott. That's not honorable. No, it's very, very extraordinarily effective. We've been manipulated to think it's not. Great example, just look at Bud Light. Just look at Harley Davidson, right? They tried to go all DEI, and that lasted, what, 4 days?
It was very short.
It was literally, they're like, whoa, sorry, guys, we screwed up, right? It's amazing. So, yes, this works. So anybody that tells you that it doesn't work, Sean Hannity, Fox News, is manipulating you, okay? Being a digital warrior, how would you go about that? How do you speak to school boards? It's very simple processes to do this. We're going to have it all on the website. How do you hold your local politicians accountable, organize, supporting, and leading meetings? Now, I think this is probably the most important. We can pray, we can manifest, and we can live without fear. Guys, fear is the evil's fuel. That's what they need to survive. You pull their fuel away from them, they don't know what to do. And that goes back to the bully analogy, right? Bully has to keep you in fear because that's how they keep the control. As soon as you stand up to a bully and say, I'm not afraid of you, they've lost all control. So these processes are simple. And if it's simple, it's God's work. If it's messy, it's something else. They're very, very simple. The challenge is we've been MK Ultra at a group, right, to believe it's something different than what it really is. So we need to step out of the malaise and take back our power, which we all have the ability to do. Now, does that mean we're going to lack fear in situations? No, sometimes we'll be afraid. But what courage really is recognizing the fear and moving forward regardless of what that fear is. That's what real courage is. It's not the fact that we don't have fear, right? We all have it. Some of us understand it so well that if it enters us, it's gone immediately. We go, oh, no, I'm not giving them that. And some of us dwell on the fear and it gets worse and it compounds on itself. So the good news is these are all choices, right? So how do you support and hold law enforcement accountable? Writing effective, the keyword effective writs and affidavits, very, very important. And the difference between lawful and legal. And the reason why I put that in there is because President Trump often says we need to do things legally and lawfully. Lawfully and legally. Why does he say that? I believe he's saying it's a parallel. So you have one that's the corporate cabal law, right? Maritime law, and the other one is our constitutional natural law. I believe he's saying, guys, we need to parallel these things together to transition out of one into the other. The challenge is a lot of common law folks is they just go straight with the common law, and it's amazing. Their writings are amazing. Their intentions amazing. Everything they're doing is correct. To me, it's godly. The writing is fantastic, but why isn't it effective? Because you're dealing with an entity that's dealing in a completely different structure than you. So they just ignore the common law completely. If you infuse the common law language into their corporate structure, right, I believe you're going to be effective, and then transition everything into common law. So you kind of have to put one foot in each battlefield. And social media strategies, kind of Bruce and I and Andrew laugh at this because our platforms are so suppressed that all our strategies don't work, but they absolutely work for people that aren't like a targeted group. Does that make sense? So you guys could probably help us a lot more than we can help you on this, but there are social media strategies that are very effective. Something that we're doing now is Robert and I are creating a side group of people. So when we do a post, they're going to help post it for us individually, because that circumvents some of the. This is a Download the Freedom app. It's a Download the Freedom in Action app is what we wrote there. No, this is, I probably could put it out today, actually, based on what I'm reading from my app guide, but I'm going to do a little testing over the weekend and see. Surprisingly, we got approved on Google and Apple. Took a lot, though. They were manipulating. I don't know how many times I sent my identification in there. It's blurry, or we don't understand it, or this doesn't make sense. I do ID identifying for so many things. Never has it come back, let the picture's blurry or we can't read it. It's never happened, ever. But that's the game they played, whatever. But finally, something happened. We're past the gatekeepers, and they've approved us to put the app on there. Now we have a backup, so if for some reason it gets taken off of there, you guys still be able to get the app from our website. So what is the Freedom in Action app? It's a way to find local patriots and events that are in your area, because it geo-targets your area. So if you say whatever the zip code is here, you put the zip code in there and you say, I want to know everything that's going on within 20 miles right there. Anybody having patriot conversations within that targeted area are going to be there. Anybody that's posted an event, a freedom fighting event, a patriot event, could be on 1A, 2A, 4A, whatever it is, right? Could be a school board meeting, could be a board of supervisors meeting. It's going to be right there, which is awesome. So now you have a tool that you can gather people. I think this is a game changer. You can connect with people in your area, gather them, and you could all go into a school board at the same time and say, no, we don't do porn in our library. Thank you very much. And you can make a huge difference doing that. This is an amazing app. And I talked to my buddy, anybody know Dr. Doug Frank? Right? Dr. Doug Frank, he's the one that put together all the graphs and all the numbers for Mike Lindell, right? You saw the one that goes up and the blue goes across the red, so on and so forth. So he's the one that ran all those numbers. He travels more than us. I think he does about 300 cities a year, and it's just teaching people how to get around it. But what's very interesting is I talk to him, I go, Doug, there's something on this app, because our app has some features similar to a standard social media. So you can post a picture, you can post a video, and write comments in there, right? And somebody could like it, so on and so forth. But it's really cool. It also has, and I stumbled upon this, is every time something's posted, it's tagged with the date and timestamp on it. I think that's probably pretty reasonable. So what this has, if we can get 100,000 people on this app before November 5th or more, in your area, if you're going to vote or you want to go, you're just paying attention, and you see suddenly they grab a bunch of ballots and they're harvesting them, take a picture, say what precinct they're taking it to, and the rest is date and timestamp for you. So you have an instant. You see they put papers up on the window, or they're handing out black markers, or they're doing anything that's nefarious, right? Whatever it is, you post it on there. And now we have a book. We literally have a book of evidence like we never had that before. Now we have a book of evidence, real-time evidence with all this reports that will not be ignored. And there are some good judges out there, and I can tell you they've already been tagged. They will accept these cases in 2024 when they come through. So this can be a very, very powerful tool for you. Very powerful. And I think that about does it for now. I believe we've got a nice long drive. Does anybody have any questions or topics or something locally that you're having trouble dealing with? Does anybody know Phil Lyman?
Right in, Phil Lyman.
Yeah.
Not just Lyman.
That's right. Phil's a friend of mine. So
Cox
what's that?
another lineman?
What's that?
Didn't Cox get another lineman to enter?
Yeah.
So you
Yeah.
have to be specific.
Exactly.
You can't write in lineman.
So you have to write in Phil Lyman, PHIL
I mean,
Lyman. He's and I was texting him yesterday. I don't know if he's gotten it yet, but he was all he's trying to do is get the records from the previous one, and he was being stonewalled like you just can't imagine. You know why I know Phil's a good guy? Because do you know where I met Phil Lyman at? I met him at the border in Arizona. He physically was down there checking it out with me and some of my team. I'm liking this guy. So we rode around a little bit. We talked. I've interviewed him on my channel, and he's just a good dude with a beautiful family, and he wants the best for Utah. That's all it is. He couldn't make it today. He was going to Zoom in, but we just didn't have the technical capability to do that on such short notice. So I just wanted to say something good about Phil, and anybody watching that's in Utah, it's Phil Lyman, and you must write it in Lyman, Phil Lyman. And isn't that crazy? So you don't hear online, they mentioned here that the Cox, I'm sorry, I had a bad joke in my head. I'm just going to leave it at that. Actually made it so there's two other Lymans running against him. So if the write-in goes through, they get to void the vote because who knows which Lyman it is. The games that are played are historic. And I think you motivated me. That I think that's going to be something I'm going to be posting like crazy all over the place so people understand the games that are played. How desperate are you to hold your position that you would have to convince two? Because that's not the most popular name ever, right? It's not Smith. How would they do it if everybody was named Joe Smith, right? Joe Smith, blonde hair. Joe Smith, green eyes. You know what I mean? It's just wacky. So this is the apparatus that we're against. So if there's any proof that Phil should be your guy, and do you ever see me support a politician? Never. But if there's any time that you think that maybe Phil Lyman should be your guy, just the fact that they're running opposition with the same names, it just gives you every reason you need to know the deep state apparatus. So, Bruce, is there anything else you want to say?
We wrap it up. No, we got a long drive ahead of us.
Just 8 hours. What the problem is?
8 hours of driving to, I don't even know where we're headed.
Boulder,
Colorado. That's where we're headed.
We're going to pick up Michelle.
And then I'll put out a plea for anybody online. If anybody was at either the Yakima event, the Pullman event, or the Butte event, and you've come across a silver, says Trump 2020, a fanny pack, from the 80s. If you find that, email me, Bruce Poppy at unpopularviewpoint.com. I haven't found it yet. But I like to close out and leave it super simple. Like you said, everything simple is of God. Messy stuff, not so much. I came across this TikTok video, and I've been trying to implement this in my life. 3 simple rules to live by. Number 1, love requires action, right? If you're going to love somebody, a spouse, you're going to do something, right? There's some action required to show that love. Love is a verb, right? So love requires action. If you love your country, you're going to do something. If you love your town, right? If you love Salt Lake City, wherever you're from, there's going to be require some action. Love requires action. Secondly, the second simple rule to live by, trust requires proof. How many people heard about trust the plan, right? Trust. If somebody tells you, hey, I'm going to take care of this, just trust me. And then they betray that trust. You're going to be less likely to trust them in the future. And these type of people, it's over and over and over again, typically. So if trust requires proof, I am to the point, this is my viewpoint, unpopular as it might be, I have a question in case any of the White Hats Alliance, any of these good guys are watching. How much collateral damage is acceptable before we can, you guys step up a little harder to, show us some stuff, even just throw us a bone, right? Hold somebody accountable that we know has been treasonous and criminal over the past several years. Stop trusting. The only person I trust God and I trust me. And occasionally I trust Lewis, except when he's driving. I joke. I'm a control freak when it comes to driving Esther. I don't like to turn loose of the wheel. But anyway, yeah, trust requires proof. If they're betraying your trust, maybe it's time to move on. Third simple rule, and with this, sorry requires change, right? If somebody's continually saying, "Oh, I'm sorry," they hurt you, they did something, "I'm sorry," and they continue to do it, "I'm sorry." If somebody's truly sorry, they're going to change, right? So yeah, love requires action, trust requires proof, sorry requires change. If you try to live those simple rules, it's going to be amazing. Like I said earlier, light always overcomes darkness. Light is undefeated. As soon as light shows up, darkness goes away. So be the light, be the change you want to see in the world. And if you like, you can tune on Unpopular Viewpoint on Rumble. Do Mindset Monday when we're not traveling. And so that's it. We're wrapping it up. We're going to do our outro music. And then, promote Tampa. If anybody can get to, watching online or here in person, get to the Tampa event. That's our grand finale. That's 50 of 50. It's going to be epic. All-day event. Starts like 10 in the morning to run at 7 at night. We got 25 solar speakers, all kinds of names you've been watching over the past several years. And then after that event is free. And then in the evening, at nighttime, we're going to have a grand finale after party. We're working on we're going to have band in there. There's going to be some food stuff. There is a small charge for that. I think it's $33 to go to the after party from like 7 o'clock at night till whenever they kick us out of the place. It's going to be epic. So try to get to Tampa. It's going to be off the chain. And this will be the very last tour, allegedly, unless God puts something else on Lewis's heart. And I got a big, huge announcement to make in Tampa concerning Esther the RV. If you don't know Esther the RV, you need to learn that story. It's quite a great story. So thank you all for coming here. Keep fighting the good fight. And if you have any questions, I'm open. Email me. Like I said, Bruce Poppy at unpopularviewpoint.com. I'll answer. I love the Prince song, Let's Go Crazy. Dearly beloved, we're gathered here together today to get through this thing called life. I need you. I need you. You know things I don't know, right? We all iron sharpens iron. We can all help each other get through this thing. And that's part of the connections that I was talking about. So thanks for everything. We're going to be packing up. I'm going to play outro music. Thanks to the online audience if he hasn't already cut us off. But we will see you guys in Boulder, Colorado tomorrow. Thank you.